So it's been a while since I've been able to sit down with you guys and actually have a conversation about Dungeons & Dragons.
It's been pretty great.
It's been like a year and a half, right? In this time, we have had lots of books come out and lots of new material, and not a lot of opportunity to discuss it, go over it, or even use it in game settings. So I want to know, what's your favorite new thing that has come out since
COVID started?
Yeah, since like the end of 2019. For me, I know this is a little bit beforehand, but it's got to be Theros. I mean, you guys know I love Magic the Gathering. I want to sink my teeth into this and really get going on it.
Honestly, I really like, and I wasn't expecting to like it, but I really like the stuff brought to the table by Ravenloft. The different branches of horror, the guides to playing horror. You know, if you listen to the podcast, I'm a massive fan of the horror genre, and to have more and more of that kind of possibility, I'm happy with it.
It's a toss-up. I mean, we were so desperate for another of everything book, and so Tasha's was so good. But Icewind Dale might be in my opinion, one of the better adventure modules out there.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think that it is consistently on point thematically and mechanically, and it is different, but it's still Forgotten Realms lore, which we didn't have before. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. As a matter of fact, the only thing that we disliked was Candlekeep. And even that, I think, has some redeeming qualities.
I disagree.
You're allowed to.
Yeah.
It's a Mimic, the round table Dungeons & Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get.
Welcome to another episode in our conversation on Dungeons & Dragons lore. I'm Dan, and with me today are Adam and Dave, and this episode is called Icewind Dale, I See What You Did There.
Icy. It's icy what you did there. Icy. Dave, it's fuck. Never mind.
I liked it, Adam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So we've previously covered all sorts of locations in D&D 5e, including Waterdeep and Chult, Barovia and the Shadowfell, the Feywild and the Astral Sea, the Underdark, the Lower Plains, and even Eberron, Ravnica, and Theros. You can find all these episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and dozens of other podcast apps, or you could jump over to the YouTube and dig into the entire playlist on D&D lore that we've built there for you guys.
You can jump over to the YouTubes.
Anyways, this episode, however, is going to return us back to the long-forgotten realms, which I am excited about, and is going to see us head to the frigid, far north blizzards of Icewind Dale. This is just a heads up that this episode will contain spoilers for the adventure of the Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden, so listen at yours or your party's own discretion. But before we get started, hey Dave.
Hello.
You mentioned in the cold open that we haven't seen you in a while, and that's because you've been off doing your own thing in Eberron for a while, and now that we have you back at the guild house, I want to know, how was traveling back from Eberron? Did you have any other wacky adventures that we weren't privy to in the previous episodes?
Well, you see, I don't want to influence too many things, so I got to keep some of my secrets to myself, okay? Especially the ones concerning the Draconic Prophecy. I feel like there's still a little more work that I can do from this side of things.
He sounds like a fucking DM.
Kinda.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. Yes, there were some wars that were forged. There were some
Lings that were changed.
and some palace that were tarred.
Well done.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's good to have you back, man. So we are going to talk about Icewind Dale now. So hopefully that'll be a nice little change of pace from gallivanting through jungles and shit, which is what you've been doing for the past little while.
A little bit.
Yeah. But before we get into it, let me just say I'm thrilled to be covering one of the realms of Toril right now. I've said multiple times on the podcast that I wish we got more Forgotten Realms world info, and Wizards of the Coast finally came through with the adventure Rime of the Frost Maiden. Now, they threw up walls around the area just so that there was little interaction with the rest of the surrounding world, which I take umbrage with, but there is at least some forward momentum with Icewind Dale. That, at the very least, scratches the itch.
You know, but they've done that on pretty much everything. Not Dragon Heist or Mines of Fandalver so much, but Curse of Strahd, which is the most popular,
Yeah.
Tomb of Annihilation, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. They've all got the here you are and you're not going anywhere.
For this episode, I had to do a really deep dive into specifically the Icewind Dale book. One of my big complaints that we always have is there's never any mention of Thay or the Chardalyn or any of those other areas. The Wizards of Thay play a role in this.
That's good. We haven't seen them since the Yawning Portal.
Exactly. So I'm excited. Anyways, to understand Icewind Dale, let's start off with just basic geography. what and where is Icewind Dale? So if you are looking at a map of the Sword Coast, Icewind Dale is up, past Neverwinter, past Luskan, past the Spine of the World, and it is that frozen wasteland above the Spine of the World. But it's not just your average frozen North tundra. It looks down at that soft, hospitable land with superiority. No, the Icewind Dale is the frozen North on meth. Nestled above the Spine of the World, a massive continent spanning mountain range, which holds home to enough content for its own lore episode. If you want to know more, let us know. Icewind Dale is a land of constant, cue surprise, ice and wind.
Fuck. Jesus, it's like they thought this shit through.
Almost, right?
Are there a bunch of Dales too?
I suspect there's a few dudes named Dale in there as well.
Nice.
So anyways, the Dale is racked by near constant winter, and that's in the best of times. It is a flat, frigid land where survival is key. There's only one major outpost of civilization in the area, and I don't want to call it a country because there's no major political oversight in the region, really. Geographically, there are 3 lakes, 1 major forest, 1 mountain, a bordering sea of floating ice, and 1 massive glacier. The 3 lakes are Lake Denishir, Mare Dualden, and Redwaters. These lakes are frigidly cold even in the summer months, often killing those who enter them merely for a swim. All 3 lakes are home to one of the major exports of the frostbitten lands, which is the Knucklehead trout, which are a large fish that is about the size of a large dog, which is about 50 to 70 pounds.
And it's also the name of Dave's penis.
The Knucklehead Trout. I'm into it.
So, Dave, Knucklehead trout, much like your penis, have a skull made of ivory, which is often harvested, cut up into fanciful design in scrimshaw, and sold for a profit. Other notable features of the lakes are the weather predicting properties of Lake Denishir, which waters will change color depending on the approaching weather.
Oh, so instead of I can feel it in my knees, I can see it in my lake.
Oh yeah, pretty much. And the lakes are fed from 2 rivers, the Red Run and the Shingarn River, which flows from the Trackless Sea. The main forest is the Lonelywood, surrounding both the northern section of Mare Dualden and the towns of Termalaine and, unsurprisingly, Lonelywood. This is one of the only locations, short of the woods by Mead, that people of the Icewind Dale will find lumber for building, because the entire tundra is mostly barren. The lone mountain in the region is Kelvin's Cairn, named after the frost giant Kelvin Durerol.
That's fucking lazy. And here's a frost giant, and his name is Kelvin. That just doesn't sit right.
No, it doesn't sit right with me either.
The Grand Lich named Bradley. Like,
I mean, that one might be a...
no, Lich.
Oh,
With an L.
okay. Kelvin's Cairn is named after this frost giant who is said to have had power to rival gods. And when he challenged the gods, he fought and was killed by Tempest, who buried him under the mountain.
Cool.
So, Kelvin's Cairn is home to many dwarves, Verbeegs, and worse in the deepest recesses of its many mining tunnels.
What the fuck are Verbeeg?
Verbeegs are...
Not small. They're very big.
No, they're giant kin. They are like civilized hill giants almost.
Are they as big as hill giants?
Yeah.
They're large sized?
They're large
Or
sized
huge-sized
creatures.
even?
They're large.
Okay.
They're not as strong, but a little bit smarter than hill giants.
No, well, I mean, what fucking isn't?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Anyways, next is the Sea of Moving Ice. This is the section of the ocean filled with the uncharted islands and grand glaciers, said to hold the hidden strongholds of frost giants and ancient Netherese mages alike.
I can see the smile on your face and you say Netherese.
Oh, there's so
Freaking
much.
love them.
I do love Netheril, and in this book, there is... spoiler warning, a lot of it. It is a significant part of the story of Icewind Dale.
Okay, all right. Fill everybody listening in on who the Netherese are.
The Netherese are a ancient civilization of incredibly powerful mages. Like the standard commoner was a level 20 wizard. They are said to have had 10th, 11th, and 12th level spells based off the lore. It is the only mention of that. And for some reason, it has not been fully fleshed out. Some say it was a war with the gods. Some say it was avarice. Some say they just left. But their civilization one day just blinked out of existence. And you can find little traces of them all through the Forgotten Realms. It's kind of like the Atlantis myth of the Forgotten Realms. They are this highly technologically advanced society that just one day disappeared.
The forgotten part of the Forgotten Realms?
A significant part of the Forgotten Realms, yes. They have said to have found little strongholds and places And like in our world where glaciers and stuff hide vestiges of the past, you're going to find a lot of that in Icewind Dale as well. Speaking of glaciers and stuff, let's go to the main glacier of Icewind Dale, and that is the Reghead Glacier. It is a massive ancient glacier that holds many, many secrets within the unexplored and inhospitable ice flow.
All right. Reghead is spelled Reghed. Reghead.
Yeah.
Not the other thing.
Yeah. So be careful. And it's going to come up a lot because all of the surrounding barriers are the Reghedian barbarians. Be careful.
You know what? Maybe they pronounce it like the GH in tough. Maybe it's Refid.
I'm on board with that. The Refid.
Just
It sounds better.
yeah, the same way that we say Shub Nijarath for Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
We can skirt this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. As you can tell, outside the relatively small bastion of civilization in Icewind Dale, the name of the game is to survive. The Dale is home to the wandering barbarians, giants, Ramarazzi,
Ramarazis.
many Ramaraz, whites, dragons, ancient secrets, evils, gods, and hidden mysteries hidden by the driving snow. It is a land of near constant negative temperatures, going as low as negative 49 in Rime of the Frost Maiden, by the way.
Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Fahrenheit,
You know, it doesn't really matter at that temperature.
negative 45 Celsius.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that in Kelvin?
I don't know. You'll have to ask
Well,
him. He's out of the
his
mountain.
Kern's right there, right?
Yeah,
Karen, yeah.
Yeah.
Is Karen?
Karen?
She's asking for the manager. That's what's going on here.
Yeah. Where's Calvin?
Calvin, the kids in the van. We're ready to go, Calvin.
This is getting too real to my existence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Daniel.
Anyways, the Icewind Dale is fuck, I'm just completely derailed. Anyways, if you could brave the cold, however, and have the supplies, power, and more than a little bit luck, you can find riches untold hidden in the snow. But enough about the lands, let's talk about where you'd buy those supplies in the tundra. The community of 10 Towns surrounds the 3 major lakes in the base of Kelvin's Cairn. Each, its own town with its own politics, rituals, and history, have come together in a loose confederation purely for survival. Make no mistake, though, just because the towns get along for survival doesn't mean the residents of each town likes the other. Firstly, you need to know the towns themselves. First is the capital of Icewind Dales with heavy quotations, and the major seat of what could be called power in the Dale, Bryn Shander. Bryn Shander is the biggest and main trading hub of the Dale, and holds a population of roughly 1,200 souls, primarily humans, orcs, and dwarves.
And the orcs coexist with the humans and
Yes.
dwarves by necessity because of the harsh.
Yes,
conditions
we'll get into specifically why a little bit later in this episode, but full-blooded orcs live in the streets of all of these towns. Now, it is also the only town not located on the shores of one of the 3 lakes. Instead, being located on one of the southern hills overlooking the rest of the region in all directions. It is a circular, walled town with 3 entries. Should any major army or force threaten the people of 10 Towns, they would all hold up in the walls of Bryn Shander. Next largest is Targos, the home of the Knucklehead Trout trade in Icewind Dale. It is the only other walled city in the Dale, and the wall extending quite far into Mare Duwalden, which is one of the lakes. Third is the town of Easthaven, bolstered by a population of 750. Founded by some scoundrels years ago on the paved Eastway, Easthaven is as rough and tumble frontier town as they get. Literally pickpocketing is legal in Easthaven, with signs of "Watch Thy Purse" posted all over town. Next is Termalaine, with a population of 600. It is the 4th largest city of the Dale. It is also home to the craftsmen of 10 Towns, taking the wood from Lonelywood and converting it into the boats for the Knucklehead Trout trade. It has had a persistent feud with the town of Targos, whose fleet of fishing vessels often harry Termalaine's ships, often ending in outright hostilities between the 2 settlements.
So one of the things that we got out of Ghost of Saltmarsh is a whole bunch of weird backgrounds of things that I never thought that we'd need that show up here. Harbor folk as a background, fishmongers, fishermen. There's a lot of that shit in there.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to kind of flesh out your NPCs, the kind of stuff they would know or do, Ghost of Saltmarsh is a really good resource for that as well for these.
100%. There's also, for your players, should they be one of these unique backgrounds, in the front of the Icewind Dale book, before you even really get into any sort of the breakdown of the region, is a bunch of plot hooks to bring each of your individual backgrounds into this world.
Cool.
Which is incredibly helpful as a DM. 5th on the list is Bremen, which is the westernmost town of 10 Towns. It boasts a population of around 150. and was founded primarily by dwarven prospectors looking for gold in the hills and shores of the Icewind Dale. That gold trade is still heavily active in Bremen. However, due to the everlasting winter brought by Oriel, the god of winter's wrath,
The Frost Maiden.
the Frost Maiden, that has been pushed to the side for a focus on Knucklehead Trout.
Well, you got to live to spend your gold, right?
Exactly. Next, and number 6th on the list, is the first of the Caers, Caer-Konig. Nestled on the northern shores of Lake Dineshare, Caer-Konig has a population matching the dwarven town of Bremen at 150 and is surrounded by mountain, lake, and snow. The main and some say only way into the town is a ferry from Easthaven, and should the lake freeze over, and say an unending winter caused by the fury of a winter god, for example, the town would rapidly become isolated, leaving the small town to the picking of thieves and murderers.
I'm looking at all the ways that these names are spelled and whatnot. Check the show notes. We'll throw them in there. And I'm getting like a Celtic feel out of a lot of it.
Very Celtic and Norwegian.
Yeah, it's an interesting blend. It's got kind of like old Anglo kind of versus Viking kind of feel.
Yeah, that is more pronounced in other towns like Goodmead, where the architecture features like dragon and wyvern and chimera level of art in their architecture.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And to explain the question, a Caer, reason why there's Caer-Konig and Caer-Dineval, is not because they were founded by a similar guy whose name was Caer. No. A Caer is a
Type
fortress.
of bear?
No, it is a...
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's also a type of package.
You done?
Probably not.
Okay.
No.
A Caer is a fortress, a naturally occurring fortress of stone. Okay. Now this is more apparent in the next town on our list, which is the second of the Caers and 7th on the list, Caer-Dineval. Built around that small fortress called the Caer, Caer-Dineval holds about 100 souls, and like its sister town to the north, suffers when the lake freezes over. In its cold isolation, thirst for good mead from good mead, and the hushed rumors of devil-worshipping cultists are the main topics of conversation in Dinev's Rest or the Uphill Climb, which are the two towns' taverns. Okay?
Is it Dineval or is it Dineval? I'm thinking it's spelled like the end of it is medieval.
I've always said Dineval. There is a pronunciation guide that we could check.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I'm just curious. I want to know.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, was that a Knucklehead Trout?
That was a Knucklehead Trout right on the cover there.
Yeah,
Old
does,
Bitey.
that does look like it.
It's got scales and everything.
And that big scar on
What's
the
it
tail.
called?
Old Bitey.
Old Bitey.
No, it's Caer-Dineval.
Cool. All right. I was just curious. I like the etymology and the pronunciation.
Yeah. Speaking of good mead, let's talk about it. The hum of the apiaries are the telltale sign that you are near good mead. With a population of roughly 100,
What is an apiary?
beehive.
Oh, I thought it was like somewhere you kept apes.
No. Oh. No, that would be a zoo.
I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
All these fucking apes and tiny little honeycombs.
Anyways, with a population of roughly 100, Goodmead feeds the locals not with knucklehead trout, but with delicious honey mead. Goodmead was also founded by travelers from Chult and the Vilhon Reach, so their squat, weather-defying buildings are covered with carvings of the dinosaurs and serpents their ancestors considered commonplace. The main fixture in Goodmead is the Mead Hall, a massive 2-story, wyvern-decorated Viking-esque meeting hall. It is heated with massive fires fed from the local giant, obscuring evergreen forest to the north, and houses the hundreds of hives used to make the delicious nectar that all of 10 towns craves.
That's where I want to go.
I'm not joking when I say you hear good mead before you see it. The hum goes for miles, kilometers outside of town.
Well, things echo across frozen
Yeah,
landscapes, right?
Exactly. From one town nestled in the woods to another, let's talk about the town of Lonelywood. It is to the north and
That's the name of my penis.
serves as a place to start fresh.
Are you okay? Lonely? You sure?
Don't want two woods beside each other, Dave. It's just not my jam. I mean, there's a reason yours is called Knucklehead Trout.
Gross.
Okay, bye.
Welcome back.
So, Lonelywood, not Adam's penis, currently has about 100 people that have decided to put their past behind them and focus on the fishing, hunting, woodcutting, and carving
No, they put their behind past it. That's right.
that brings Lonelywood its economy. Founded by the chimera-crested Sembian family, the buildings of Lonelywood are adorned with dragons, lions, and goats. an homage to the founding family. This, as a side note, is where a certain ruby-gazing halfling and a friend to a certain dark elf once ran the local government as speaker and currently has a home by the waters of Mare Duelden. That is Regis, for those of you who have read The Crystal Shard, which we'll talk about later.
Sure. It's a Drizzt thing,
It's a Drizzt thing, yeah. Well, you can't do Icewind Dale without talking about Drizzt and his crew. We'll have to address it later.
Sure.
Finally, the last one in our list of 10 is Dougan's Hole.
That's the name of Dan's penis.
There you guys go. You're welcome. I paused for that. It is without a doubt the smallest of the Dale's settlements.
There it is.
With 50 people calling this scattered assortment of hovels and 2 docks home.
Wow.
Is that docks?
Docks, yeah.
Who are you
yeah.
docking with?
Named after a Chardalyn man who figured the spot would be a good fishing hole, it features 2 docks, and the only other real notable feature of Dougan's Hole is the 20 Stones of Thrun, a triangular formation of 19 massive granite menhirs with a single larger one in the middle.
So it's like Stonehenge.
Yes, but triangular.
Yeah.
And just as much mystery. No one knows what it is. The only reason why they're called the 20 Stones of Thrun is because of ancient discussions that a god beast named Thrun might have something possibly kind of to do with it, maybe. So there you have it. Those are the 10 towns. Each.
Can I just say, before
Sure.
you go any further? I'm glad there are legitimately 10 of them. A lot of the time in fantasy shit, you end up with like, oh, the 11 towns of 10 towns, or there's only 7 remaining of the 10 towns. I'm glad there's 10.
Yeah. The thing that bothers me with it, whenever you see the number 10 in D&D as a player, you should be scared.
Yeah, because Beholder.
Because beholders, right?
Okay, yeah.
There are no beholders that are going to live in this frozen north.
Yeah, normally when there are 10 different passages to go down from the main central area, like, there's a Beholder in there.
Yeah, there's a beholder somewhere, right? Like that is forecast by DMs. It's not going to be a problem here.
So they've been setting this up as like a fake left for years.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ever since AD&D.
Anyways, so of the 10 towns, you can see that each one is different and succinct, with its own traditions, locales within to draw the interest of your party. Each bring interesting lore to their formation and what to do in them, but at a surface scan, how can you figure out where to go in your adventures during the Rime of the Frostmaiden? Well, Wizards of the Coast has developed and implemented the Snowflake rating system. And no, this isn't a snowflake rating like the term we've seen slung around in political circles as of late. No, this is for all intents and purposes the Yelp reviews of each town. Friendliness, services, and comfort are given up to 3 snowflakes, with 3 being good and 1 being bad and 2 being a mix of both. This shows your DM and players how different Bremen and Dougan's Hole will handle outsiders, which, by the way, not well, referring to the latter choice there. What kind of shopping and supplies one could find in Caer-Dineval compared to Bryn Shander, and just how easy life is in the winter-oppressed vista of Caer-Konig compared to Easthaven. This is a great tool and a simple tool for DMs to flavor each of the 10 towns. But should you want to wander outside of 10 towns, which admittedly has a lot to offer the aspiring adventurer, you should watch for flash avalanches, blizzards, and the dangers of extreme cold and frigid waters. In fact, Rime of the Frostmaiden gives us the mechanical effect of these natural threats in the frozen north. An avalanche, we'll just do this for example, is not just wide enough to wipe out your beloved party mule. No, this is a 300-foot wide, 30-foot high, 30-foot thick wall of rampaging snow, rock, and whatever else, and whoever else happened to be caught up in higher on the path. The avalanche moves twice in initiative, both on 10 and 0, and travels at the speed even a tabaxi monk would envy. 300 feet, twice around.
Holy shit. You're not running away from that.
No, that's 600 feet around for those who failed grade 1 math.
I hope you have a swim speed, I guess.
Oh, God. Fly speed is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you need to get 30 feet up quick.
Yeah.
Should you be caught up in the path of the avalanche, and you will be caught up in the path of an avalanche.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you could do to avoid it. You are, just straight up are, knocked prone and carried along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's no save.
Honestly,
There's no save.
Honestly, it doesn't seem like enough.
No. The save comes in to avoid damage, which is comically low in my opinion. It's a 1d10 bludgeoning damage should you get hit with this thing.
That is low.
If you get hit in the face with a tree trunk flying down a hill at 600 feet every 6 seconds, so 100 feet a second, that's going to hurt more than, some idiot swinging a longsword at you with no strength bonus.
Well, in theory, you're taking 1d6 when you fall. every 10 feet.
Okay.
So that's really light. The 1d10 is really light.
Yeah.
But I assume that it's because it's snow and it's a softer material.
Yeah, I mean, from what I think, anyways, when somebody dies in an avalanche, it's not because they got hit by snow.
Yeah, they're not bludgeoned to death, they suffocate.
They suffocate, yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into that because the real danger is being buried alive in the snow. And you have precisely 3 chances of athletics checks to dig yourself out, or you will gain a level of exhaustion for every 5 minutes you stay in the avalanche until you just straight up die.
Good.
Okay?
Do it.
By the way, for those who know the exhaustion chart, it's 6 levels. So you have 30 minutes or you're dead.
It's not even that. It's 25 because on the 5th one, you can't move.
That's true.
You're just done.
Yeah.
Right? So I will say this. I like this for suffocation. I'm going to use this as my template for suffocation now for everything.
Yes.
Cave-ins or getting stepped on by a Tarrasque.
They should have just used the swallowed whole mechanic.
Kinda.
Yeah, no, I would have been okay with that. Well, here's where it's going to be slightly different is while you are in the avalanche, you are both blinded, makes sense, and restrained. So guess who's rolling athletics checks at disadvantage?
Everyone.
Everybody. So,
Your druid is going to wild shape into something with a burrow speed, and that's going to save the party.
well, here's the thing. If you free yourself and need to free a party member, it will take 1 full minute of your time to get them out. So, do the math. You got a party of 5, and everybody gets
You get Jennifer Love Hewitt out first.
Get out.
That's a party of 5 joke. That's what I did there, Dan.
I'm going to move on.
That's good.
From that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you are out in the tundra, exploring the space like it's the frigid version of Chult, you will need to be aware of freak blizzards causing you to make survival checks or become lost in the wilds. Also, grab your rings of warmth and prepare for some cold temperatures because, as I mentioned earlier, in The Rime of the Frost Maiden, temperatures on the Dale can hit as low as 45 degrees Celsius, which, as we record this in the middle of a heat wave, doesn't sound too bad.
Hold on, I'm curious. They do temperature in Celsius, but movement in feet?
Well, they did temperature in Fahrenheit, but because it's a fake measurement, I used Celsius.
Oh, you converted it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
How many meters was that then?
How many meters is 600 feet?
Yeah.
A bunch. But the weather isn't the only thing you have to be worried about in the frozen north. There is roving bands of barbarians, giants, verbeegs, as we mentioned earlier, yetis, as well as other nasties. Notably is Arveaturus, who is an ancient white dragon that calls the top of Refid. Is that what we're saying?
Sure, you're already with Refid.
She calls the top of Refid Glacier her home. She mostly keeps to herself, although that is a bit of a lie. She has with her a constant companion. Tied to a saddle around her back is her old friend, the Archmage and Wizard of Mythical Levels, Melthorond. However, it's too bad he's been super dead for years.
Oh, that's pleasant.
So she's a crazy white dragon that has a corpse on her back that she talks to.
That's metal.
Yeah. Next is the god Auril herself, the one whose curse rocks Icewind Dale at the start of the adventure. In the interest of letting your party figure that one out, I won't be breaking down what's going on with the Queen of Winter's Wrath, but make no mistake, this divine being calls the Dale home and has been loosed upon this tundra. But when you're not fighting, you're exploring in the Dale. There are some notable locations to seek out. You could get a ride on an awakened sperm whale or find a portion of Averturus's hoard in the Dark Duchess, an ice-moored Luskan ship floating somewhere in the sea of moving ice. But if you're looking for some grand Skyrim-level shenanigans, the Jarlmoot, which are 7 empty frost giant thrones, may draw your interest in the frosty wasteland. You may be sent out by the speaker of Bryn Shander to Caer-Konig, which is the goblin prison colony.
Cool.
You may be sent to do a prisoner transfer yourself to the Ultra Supermax prison of Revel's End, or encounter one of the many hints to the previous world-spanning empire of the Netheril. WotC has given us a very, very sandboxy wilderness to explore in Icewind Dale. So let's ask some questions. Guys, what are some of the difficulties we're going to have to playing within the Icewind Dale? Let's grab some dice and roll. I got 5.
I had an 18.
I got 17.
Well, first of all, Dan, and I don't want to shock you, but it's cold.
You don't say.
This is one of the handful of times. This and Chult is when I'm going to actually look at my players and say, hey, you want to go out there? Encumbrance is a factor. I'm actually going to track rations, I'm going to track torches, and I'm going to track encumbrance here. Because the exploration pillar here is huge. And to do anything different is going to be a disservice. They're going to be trying to hire, woolly mules and whatever other crazy DM shit that you come up with.
There are
right?
frosty axebeak mounts that you could get here that handle the cold temperatures very well for birds.
Tauntauns.
Basically. There are, again, you said woolly mammoths. There are saber-toothed tigers that you could get as mounts that live in this region.
But I want that encumbrance because I also want to know generally the weight. And I'm not going to track weight too closely, but I'll kind of keep it in my head what level the weights are. Just because you're going to be walking across ice, right? It's not
4 days.
Yeah, it's not so much just like, the rope bridge, is the paladin too heavy? But, we have a woolly mammoth to carry all of our shit. All right, we got to go around to the frozen lake.
There are some breakdown encounters for random encounters within Icewind Dale that they give you in the book. And they're all fantastic and flavorful. Like, I'm not kidding. You ride an awakened sperm whale is one of them.
Yeah, but we're not just talking about Dave's ex-girlfriend.
Anyways, for example, the first time you meet this white dragon, whose name I'm avoiding saying right now, it literally bursts out of the ice in front of you carrying a walrus in its mouth to go feed.
We get a ton of just beasts in this book as well, which is really fun.
Whales, winter wolves and hares, and
a lot of aquatic stuff too.
A lot of focus on awakened animals and awakened spells exist in here as well. So it's super cool. Dave?
What was the question again?
What are your difficulties playing in this?
None. I'm the DM. I don't have any problems playing.
What are going to be your difficulties running it, Dave? You douchebag.
Honestly, I play a fast and loose game. I'm more combat than exploration. Getting my guys to do these survival checks, making sure they've got the right gear. I mean, a lot of what Adam said, that's going to be my biggest stumbling block. I hand wave so much so that we can just press on with the story. And this, you said it, Adam, like, this is very Choltian with the environment being
the environment
a bad guy.
is the story, right?
Exactly, right? So that's going to be a big change for me as a DM because that's not always the case.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm echoing you guys on this one. To avoid the exploration side of this, and even the travel between these towns. Yes, they are called 10 towns and they're all kind of together, but there are like days worth of having to walk through open tundra or find different routes between them where random shit can happen to you. So, like, being very aware of, like, how fast a dog sled moves as opposed to going on foot. There aren't horses. I should mention. You got...
Snow camels.
Axe beaks. So, kind of.
Axe beaks, yeah.
You've got some things to worry about here, and if you just glaze over it, you're doing your party a disservice for the flavor of this area.
And for anyone who plays this with Terry, keep the sled dogs away from him.
That's very true.
That's true. Okay, guys.
Hold on. The other thing that I'm going to say here is the difficulty I'm going to have is having different flavor for each one of the towns, so that my party will have a distinct idea of this one is this one is this one is this, and they're different, and it's not just cookie cutter level of village over and over and over.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guarantee my players will just end up going, oh, this is 1 town, and this is 2 town, and this is 3 town, and this is 4 town.
So you've really got to, from a social and a role-playing aspect, you've got to really breathe flavor to each one separately as well.
It does help you out here in specifically Rime of the Frost Maiden, because each town is sacrificing something to try to appease Oriel to end this, harsh winter that she has enacted. And this ranges everything from light, where they just turn off all the lights in the town for days upon days on end, to people.
Cool.
And like Easthaven, for example, has a lottery once a month where if you reside in Easthaven, your name is put into a bowl, and if your name is pulled, you are killed.
Wow, they've got to really be procreating at a pretty decent level then.
Well, if you look at any really higher north town, there's not a lot to do in the winter months other than each other.
Yeah, but they're all small towns, right? Like, you'd think that...
It does specifically mention in Dougan's Hole... No? Okay, it does specifically mention in Dougan's Hole that a lot of the populace, because they are so insular, have started to pick up deformities.
Huh. So there's a little bit of Lannister love going on there.
It specifically says the word inbreeding. So yes.
Cool.
Banjo going on.
Ding 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 ding. Well, frozen banjo?
But the clunk. Did you hit record?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as some of you have noticed, obviously, Dan and I launched a bit of an informal side project where we go through one of the Dungeons & Dragons publications at a time and determine the pros and cons and our overall thoughts. And the first one we did was Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden.
We went over almost every page, covering moderate spoilers for the adventure without giving the ending away. We covered things that interest players or may be useful to dungeon masters to get inspiration from.
I always love going through the monsters and the items and the player options.
I really enjoyed seeing all the different forms of the Frost Maiden and investigating everything about her frosty lair to her maiden head.
Dan? What the fuck, man? I need you to take these commercials way more seriously. I show up every time with the utmost professional attitude.
Ah!
What?
You? Professional?
Yes.
Professional what? Dick?
At least I'm not an amateur dick.
I don't... What?
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 What is your problem?
What's an amateur dick?
Well, I don't know. Obviously, by definition, it's a dick that doesn't get paid.
Does your dick normally get paid?
I mean, it should.
Well, I'm not sure that Canada's ready to reintroduce the penny, Adam.
Go fuck yourself, Dan. It should be getting paid in pounds, if you get what I mean.
You could pound it on your own time. We're trying to record a commercial.
Okay, anyway, Dick, we're going to periodically continue working our way through new releases as they come.
Gross.
As well as discussing some of the published material from Wizards of the Coast that has already hit the shelves. There's a lot of info out there for 5th edition, but not every DM or player knows which book to pick up next, or what to expect from an adventure module. After all, there's some great additions to the library, and then there's, well, Rick and Morty versus D&D.
This series is going to be sporadic and unscheduled, so keep your eyes out for these, and let us know if you agree with our assessments.
We hope that you'll be able to use the series as a guideline for which books deserve your attention for your own personal needs as a D&D player, but keep in mind that they're going to be full of moderate spoilers for the adventures, and they aren't meant to tear into specific mechanics or stat blocks.
As we go on, you'll be able to find previous Legend Lore episodes in a playlist on our YouTube channel, or check out the episode guide to see what books we've already covered by looking at the post on r/itsamimic on Reddit.
Now, let's get back to the episode, shall we? Fuck, one of these days we're going to record a normal fucking commercial.
I highly doubt it.
Well, whose fault is that?
Mostly yours.
Disagree.
Now, it's no secret that Icewind Dale has featured prominently in a litany of materials throughout the nearly 50 years of the Forgotten Realms' existence. There are video games, notably Icewind Dale, and its 6 spin-offs, and Neverwinter, which is the MMO, the D&D MMO, that had a massive Icewind Dale patch.
It's one of the handful of video games that I've played in the last, 15 years.
Mm-hmm. There's so many of these kind of things that have addressed the Frozen North, as well as many, many books. And this is when I should bring him in.
Boo.
Icewind Dale is home to Drizzt Do'Urden and the entire crew he brings with him. Drizzt is referenced in the Rime of the Frost Maiden, but it would be foolish to think that the drow isn't at work in the background. You could very likely come across him in your campaign, however, it could be rare, and it should be rare. If you don't know who Drizzt is, I'm just going to give you a quick little primer. Drizzt was created by R.A. Salvatore, yes, the guy who killed Chewbacca, in 1988's The Crystal Shard, in which Drizzt was initially just a side character. The book's main character was Wulfgar, the scion of the Elk tribe of Refid barbarians. However, the Drow Ranger with a heart of gold soon became the main protagonist of the series, as him and the aforementioned Regis, who was the halfling who ran Lonelywood, Wulfgar, Catti-brie, and Brunner Battlehammer fought against evil wizards, cloaked assassins, and the horrors of Minzo Baranzan. Now, I think it's important to bring up that the Crystal Shard and Drizzt in this chat because, although the latter is referenced, the former, the Crystal Shard, is very, very important to the story of the Rime of the Frost Maiden. The Crystal Shard is an item by the name of Krishinabon.
Cinnabon?
Yeah, I make that connection too. Krishinabon is an evil, sentient crystal that warps the mind of whoever comes in contact with it. In the books, this is specifically a wizard by the name of Akar Kessel, and it warps him into attempting to take over the Dale and run it as his own little country. Part of this scheme involved growing massive pillars of crystal that, when Kessel was...
Is this why you said it was a tundra on meth at the beginning?
No.
Okay.
No, but I guess it's crystal everywhere. Because you see, when the books hit their climax and Kessel was defeated, these massive crystals were destroyed. They were torn down. However, their corruption seeped into the surrounding ice, which then became a crystalline, corrupted substance itself. This substance is called Chardalyn. And Chardalyn is a incredibly versatile magical ingredient. It takes spells incredibly well, which is why you will find a lot of wizards and mages use it for wands and staves and stuff. However, it is also incredibly durable. So you'll find a lot of the barbarian tribes are using it for weapons and using it as the blades of their axes. It, however, is still corrupted crystal. And over the years, it will slowly seep into the mind of whoever wields it and will make them go mad. To the point where there are roving bands of just crystal mad barbarians roaming the wilds, killing whoever they come in contact with.
So there's barbarians all hopped up on crystal, roaming the frozen wasteland?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds like Prince George.
Oof. The city.
Not the prince.
the baby. Yeah. Anyways, outside of Christianabon and its history, the orc tribe of the Many Arrows clan also plays heavily here.
That's cool. We haven't heard much about them, so.
So, I did mention earlier that orcs are within these towns. Part of the reason is Obald Many Arrows, who is a major antagonist in the Dritz de Werden books, specifically against Brunner Battlehammer, who is the chieftain of the Battlehammer tribe of dwarves, who call a place called Mithril Hall, which is in the spine of the world, home. Obald Many Arrows, I think the third, collected all of the orc tribes in the area and tried to civilize them, and succeeded. Okay? Now, there are roving bands of Many Arrows orcs roaming the entire tundra. However, some of them have made their way into these towns and are now functioning members of society while being still orcs.
Which is weird because they're shoulder to shoulder with dwarves.
Yes, there is a very tentative peace between them. Now, outside of the Many Arrows clan, and you will again see these Netherese kingdoms hidden under the ice and hidden druidic enclaves in the spine of the world, the realm of Icewind Dale can descend into the Underdark, which is where Dritz came from, and into a spiraling battle against the Drow as they attempt to gain and take over the surface world in a region that never fully comes to light. This is something I didn't mention earlier and will mention now. In Rime of the Frost Maiden, any natural light is dim all the time.
Okay.
There is no bright light.
There is no bright light. Part of the curse is that the sun never fully rises over the Dale. So, guys, inside of Icewind Dale, is there any key features you would like to see put in that you haven't heard of yet? Anything that you think would bring a unique flavor to this Icewind Dale that you haven't seen or heard? Something that feels missed almost? Let's roll the dice and see. I got a 7.
I got a 7.
Roll off, guys. I got an 8. I'm going first again.
I got a 6.
I got an 18. You're going last, Dave.
Honestly, I know that they've got a real solid look at the natural animals and the beasts that are around. And when it comes to the environment itself, it seems fine. I would like to know more about the interpolitical issues inside the different 10 towns.
Yeah, okay.
How the towns feel about each other.
Yep.
As well. It's just going to be that extra little bit of flavor for me as a DM to be able to say, oh, I've got an orc and a dwarf in my party. I'm going to put them from the same town with this weirdly brokered piece and see if the players will end up doing a Legolas Gimli kind of thing.
Okay.
Or be at each other's throats the whole time. It's good to have these little bits and pieces of lore that are in there. I'm not a big fan of Dritz. I'm not, but it seems like a missed opportunity to have some of his background NPCs play a role in here. Mm-hmm. Not only for book sales, because that would help, right?
Yeah.
But just because we latch on to Xanathar and Tasha and Mordenkainen, and Volo shows up in a couple of different adventures and shit. Like, there should have been more than just one or two of his people in here.
This should have been like the perfect place to bring Elminster into 5e. We have seen nothing of the Archmage Elminster in 5e. And
Good, that guy's a fuck. I don't know why I decided to have a strong opinion about him, but I do now.
I added him in the Mad Mage.
Did you?
Yeah, just as a throwback.
He's a happy mage.
Not quite.
For me, inside of here, I think you hit the nail on the head with missing some of these key NPCs that you could pull from lore. There's not really a lot of them in here.
What's his pet?
Guinevere, it is a black crystal token that he summons. Like it's a Black Panther named Guinevere.
They should have had Black Panthers in this area. Or something, right? Like there should just be that nod in that direction. Maybe a statue of a Black Panther in one of the 10 towns.
Yeah. But outside of it, I love this draw towards Netheril. I would like to have seen it, and it does in the campaign near the end of it play a far bigger part of the campaign. But I want to see more of like what a Yuan-Ti society looks like in the snow.
They don't. They're cold-blooded. They're done.
I don't know, though. There are magical ways to keep things hot. There is a grove with a sunstone in it in this region that a bunch of druids harvest and maintain. That is the only place that is free of Auriel's curse. So, like, there are ways for the Yuan-Ti to bury deep down and really flesh out that side. As much as we see Drits coming up, and this place should have a lot of flavor of Drits, you're not seeing a lot of Drow in here. It's mostly Durgar, right? And Durgar feature heavily, but I'd like to see more Drow.
Words I never thought I'd hear you say, Dan.
This is the place for them. The frozen north that never gets fully lit by the sun.
But we had Drow run around doing their Drow shit in Out of the Abyss. Right?
Yeah, but that's such a disappointing book. This one's not.
Oh, you didn't like Out of the Abyss?
I did not like Out of the Abyss. No.
I really liked it. I'm waiting for the sequel because it's Rage of Demons, Out of the Abyss. And where's the other?
Yeah, okay.
Where's part 2?
Yeah, okay.
Anyways.
Dave?
Being isolated, see what I did there? Isolated. And up in like the tundra, cold, blizzard, very like closed, sandboxed area kind of thing. It seems like a prime opportunity to get some undead going on in there. Whether that's zombies or, I mean, you mentioned the dim light thing a minute ago. I was thinking 30 Days of Night, vampires, that kind of thing. Now I know vampires are a little different, but like it seems like a prime opportunity.
You're right. And Wizards of the Coast would agree. I didn't mention it because it is kind of out of left field. But this is the book that introduced Gnoll vampires and kobold zombies to the world of Dungeons and Dragons. There is a heavy undead presence in the Frozen North, and it's weird. There's a place called I think it's the Screeching Caverns, which is an entire area run by undead gnolls. Not witherlings, undead gnolls.
We also get the Frost Giant Skeleton out of this, which is badass and scary.
And by the way, one of the critiques I have of the adventure is the fact that there's nothing stopping a level 2 party from encountering a Frost Giant Skeleton, which legit happened to me in my party when we tried to run this.
Nice.
And we're like, it's level 2, it's a Frost Giant Skeleton, we'll be able to handle it. No, you can't.
No, you dead.
No, you cannot.
Run.
Especially in the circumstances where that thing comes up. No, you cannot run. You see an angry green hag with a will-o'-the-wisp? Just go. Just leave. So out of all of those other things, we'll use the same initiative order. Adam, is there anything you would focus in on a homebrew campaign in this setting?
I would do a lot of ice cave level shit.
Okay.
I like the idea that there's stuff burrowing through the snow. And having things like ice spiders and...
Bullets.
No, I'm thinking the Remoraz, and there's a frost worm in one of the books as well.
Yep.
It's a purple worm, but it's all frosty. So, like, there's some really cool stuff. When I'm done Rime of the Frost Maiden, I've got enough other shit to do for another couple of levels to kind of get them out of the north and back down into the rest of the Forgotten Realms.
I agree. What I would do is I would go from here and then go into a Drow campaign. Because it would just flow so nicely into that, right? Or go absolutely balls out kooky dukes with...
Dave hasn't heard you say balls out kooky dukes yet.
Oh, yeah, it's a new thing I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a thing.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a thing.
But I want to see a really weird aberration-centered campaign out of this. There is a fallen Mind Flayer spaceship in the Dale with no mind flayers and carrion crawlers and shit coming out of it. There are Nothics in this. It has been forever since I fought a Nothic in a D&D game. Adam, that was not a hint.
Oh, guess what, Dan?
I've come across Nothics multiple times. There's one right in Fendelver.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's been so long since I've seen one in my games that I'm like yearning to see and Gorel and Grix and these weird aberrations.
I want you to know, okay, spoiler alert, because we are about to start a campaign, right, at post-COVID. Session 1, I've already named and prepped 2 Nothics. Like, they're a thing that's coming. So,
Yay.
there you go, Dan.
Wait.
Level
We're
1.
We're level 1, Adam.
I know you are, and there's 2 of them.
Just feed them. They're fine.
Why are you this way?
Boredom, mostly, if I can be honest.
Okay. Dave, is there anywhere you would want to focus on as a homebrew campaign in here?
This goes against everything I've ever said on any kind of part of the podcast, but I want to explore the towns.
Oh, you know what? That's really cool because, hey, do the thing.
Oh.
Do the thing.
I'm on board
Up
with that.
here.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers up north.
I think that's really cool.
I mean, you could also do Alien versus Predator up here.
No, you can't. No one can do that. Not even filmmakers.
All right. Well, speaking of people not getting things perfectly, there are really big, different, many awesome ways that you can go about things.
Wow, you
Like that sentence.
you have been in isolation, my friend, for far too long.
Yes. One thing I saw the other day that I thought was really interesting was I was on, I forget what program or
Pornhub?
app on my phone.
The chive. You look like a chive guy.
No. They got weird.
Yeah.
I was on there
I know, that's what I'm
originally
saying.
and like, nah, I'm a Reddit guy. But I saw that there was a teacher that runs a D&D club after school, and he's got all different sorts of the kids running different campaigns for different people. And he was walking around just kind of monitoring, and he saw that one of the DM kids wasn't writing down hit points or anything. And he questioned about it afterwards, and he goes, well, why don't you keep track of hit points? And the kid came back to him and said, well, I mean, I don't need to. The encounter's over when everybody stops having fun. And that's similar to my style. And I thought that was a really interesting kind of turn on things. Like, that's the reason I like playing at a table with my people and not online. I mean, online's fine, but at a table, I can sit there and I can read my players' faces and I can get a little more nuance from them and just read the room a little bit better. I don't stick to what the rule says. I interpret what the players are feeling and try to build on that. I take what they latch onto and I build on that part of the story. When I see the people not having fun with the encounter anymore, it's over. Yeah, you killed it. Great. It's just there's more to it than just you have to do 100 damage. No, there's some nuance there. If your cleric or your bard hasn't had anything in a while, throw them the bone. Let them get the kill at 88 hit points,
Yeah, I guess. I just do not run it that way. But then again, I crunch math. Right? Like, I sit there and I do the numbers, and I'm like, okay, so I know that Dan is playing a Gnome Artificer, and he's giving roughly this much DPS per round, and I've got this, Dave is over here doing roughly this, and Dave's initiative's higher, so he'll probably go first. And I tend to build my encounters, but I crunch the math on that so that I don't have to, on the fly, do it. And sometimes I get surprised.
Yeah, but I do that to an extent as well. If I know that the barbarian's killed everything for the last 3 encounters, and I know his turn is, 2 players away, and we're this close, I'm gonna give it to one of those people. I'm gonna give someone else the satisfaction of completing it. Because at the end of the game, that's when we handed inspiration. That's how these people are going to get it.
You're talking about not tracking the hit points of the monsters.
Not necessarily. I mean, I do write it down, but it's more of a guideline than a...
As a DM, I've got too much going on to track the hit points of the party. I trust my party to do that.
Oh, yeah, I never track the hit points of the party.
They're responsible for themselves.
Yeah. Right, yeah. And I ask them, how you looking? And they will give me kind of a, not so good, but I don't get a number most of the time.
A gulp?
not until someone says, guys, I have 3 hit points, someone heal me. Right? That's not until they're fighting a Merilith do I start hearing numerical answers.
I'm glad we're going into this next campaign with 3 people who could heal.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to need it. You're going to need it.
Oh, good.
I'm going to need it.
Yes, you're the barbarian.
Yes.
Anyway, you can reach out and get a hold of any one of the 3 of us or the other chuckleheads on the podcast on Instagram or Facebook or at r/itsAmimic on Reddit, where Dave says that he's a Reddit guy, so he's actually going to check it once in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. Well, you've been out of town and doing stuff too.
True.
So you can also send us an email at info@itsamimic.com. And guys, send us mailbag questions. we just released a mailbag episode within the last month, right? Or I don't know when this episode's coming out. Maybe 6 weeks. But we are absolutely thrilled with the fact that we're finally whittling away Pepperina's freaking questions off the list.
Like, day one, she gave us like 60 questions, and we're like just starting to work our way through them.
Yeah, and we're finally now starting to knock off. I think one of the 3 tables doesn't have a question from Alexander, another Skip Davis, right? Because he gave us the D20 chart at the very beginning. Well, there's room. We've got space, and we're getting different various questions and stuff in from people. And like I say, we answer anything, whether
Absolutely
we like it
anything.
or not.
Usually not.
So send us questions about Dave's Knucklehead Trout,
Or my Dougan's hole.
and we will definitely answer them. We'll make Terry answer them.
Well, he knows best.
Moving on.
Thank you.
Now, as mentioned before, the Dale is more than an isolated wasteland devoid of civilization and people. It is absolutely full with creatures. If you added up the numbers above for the population, 10 towns itself hosts a population of about 4,800 people. These would be primarily human, dwarf, both gold and shield varieties in the realms, elves of the moon, sun, wild, and wood varieties, and strongheart halflings, as well as your orcs and various others. Now, if these sound weird, that's because those are the names that the realms have for our hill dwarves or gold dwarves, mountain or shield dwarves, high elves or moon or sun elves, wood elves, which are wild or wood elves, and stout halflings. If you're rolling one of these races, remember that's what they're called. You're not necessarily a stout halfling, you're a strongheart halfling. These towns are the home of those who have no home elsewhere and are looking for a life free of the troubles of their past mistakes. So, for the most part, 10 towns doesn't judge you on your past.
Well, it's true of like Alaskan places too. People go up there to get off the grid and away from the government, and like
Yeah.
that it is true that people go to the far reaches of civilization to get away from.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a harsh living, but every single person pulls their weight.
And it's free.
Now, there are some notable names that come up beyond Dritz and Regis. Namely, the Archmage Elminster has been known to frequent the Frosty North in search of Netheri's relics. But I'd also warn of the people of the Tundra. And this is something that I think you could play on as a full campaign in and of itself, which are the roving tribes of the tiger, wolf, elk, and bear clans of barbarians.
Not deer?
Not deer. It's elk instead. The interpolitics of these 4 tribes is campaign worthy in and of itself, with the tiger hyper aggression to the bear's focus around nature to the hunting habits of the elk. These things are really, really, really full and flavorful in and of themselves.
It's weird that we didn't get eagle. I'm just saying that because there are 5 different kinds of totem barbarians, and they checked off 4 of them.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I kind of would want to flavor it for the frozen north, right? So maybe an axebeak tribe or something like that. What's a good snowbird? Snowy owl?
Penguin.
A ptarmigan.
Oh, ptarmigan.
I like mine better.
I like
Penguin.
penguin. Yeah.
Penguin.
So, guys, let's grab our dice. Let's roll here. I want to talk about if you're building a combat encounter, what do we got? Let's roll dice and figure it out. I got a 16.
I got a nat 20.
I got the opposite.
Okay, Dave, with your nat 20, what's an interesting combat encounter you'd have in Icewind Dale?
Oh, just about any sort of Arctic creature that you don't find. Like, okay, so being up in the tundra, like, it's a very unique setting.
Yeah.
Not a lot of D&D groups get here. Not a lot of people want to get here. So leaning into that, like, I mean, you're wandering around Waterdeep. Yeah, you know what? You might run into a Yeti down in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I'm not sure on that, but like, there's some weird stuff down there, sure. But you're never going to run into that when you're, running down the Tribor Trail, right? So just about anything from there. I like the idea of these, packs of winter wolves. I mean, I love just having wolves in general be a problematic thing for low-level parties.
Yep.
So you just, throw the winter spin on it, right? It doesn't need to be anything ridiculous or spectacular.
For me, I would love to harry the party with a few snow golems. These are basically animated snowmen with an angry streak.
Would you give them carrot noses?
I would not.
Top hats?
Possibly would.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might just put a dead beaver on their hat and assume that it's good.
I'm not even talking to you guys anymore. Fuck both of you.
But one of the reasons why I like the snow golems, other than them being a CR3, so don't go overboard with them, but They literally have a snowball attack, which carries with it 2d6 plus 2 cold damage. So here you are walking along the tundra and you just get biffed in the head with a snowball. The fun encounter of your party trying to figure out who threw the snowball, and it's one of these guys at the end of it.
Do they have some sort of like cool move through snow ability?
They don't. They don't sleep. They don't require any sort of food or air. They only move 10 feet around. So they're not quick by any means.
Yeah, the reason I asked was because I thought it would be neat if you had an avalanche at your party and there was a bunch of snow golems in the avalanche beating them up as they're falling down a hill.
Fuck it, give it to them. Make them a CF4.
Yeah. That inspired me.
Yeah.
Right?
Adam, what do you got? Combat encounter.
I want there to be a combat encounter, probably with one of your basic low-level, like one of the barbarian tribes that's gone mad. Like, I want a mob kind of battle where there's 7 of them and 5 of us, and we're fighting on a frozen lake. So everything's difficult terrain. You need to do acrobatics checks at the end of each one of your rounds to stay up.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Right, and stuff like that.
Especially if you, like, move around.
Yeah. Maybe at the end of your movement, you have to
and if you don't roll a move, you're fine.
If you don't move, you're okay.
Yeah.
Right? I am then going to have a Remoraz or a White Dragon.
Something come out from...
Yeah, and eat the enemies. And now we have a very different kind of encounter. This was, all right, we can take them to run. Just fucking run. And now it's a skill challenge to get away.
Well, this actually...
chase while the ice is breaking.
This actually transitions us very, very nicely into exploration encounters. Dave, do you have a good exploration encounter for the Icewind Dale?
I like the idea of exploring ice caves and having, like I said, the undead and stuff in there. Keep it a little bit separate so it's not...
Oh, I really like the idea, too, of they're like... It's crystalline, almost the ice, and you can see the zombies, and the zombies' eyes are moving. They're frozen.
Oh, that's
eyes
badass,
are following you.
That's a great idea, yeah.
There's like a one pinky that's sticking out of the ice and just like twitching in your direction.
Hello! And then, you have your vampire Knoll down in the... He's the bad guy in the cave, right? Like, you can have something really neat using that.
For me, I love the fact that we get such a focus on awakened animals. And getting lost in the tundra is one thing, but when you get found by that one awakened tundra hare or white fox, like tundra fox or something, that then guides your party, not necessarily to where they need to go, but to a entirely different series of encounters that would interest the hare, that animal, right? Now that they're awakened, they are more than able to scheme and be like, yeah, man, I can help you out. I can take you to where you need to go. Oh, suddenly you're very much in a bad situation around a bunch of awakened crag cats, right? Which are large-sized lynxes, basically. There's so many cool things you could do with awakened animals, and they don't always have to be herpy derp Mr. Beaver. So I would embrace that and maybe add a little bit of maliciousness to my awakened animals.
I'm going to use light. If everything is dim or dark in here, but you can see a campfire burning on the far mountainside, you can head in that direction.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to use little bits and pieces of light, torches, 5 torches moving down through the valley, and you are at night looking down. You can see them. You don't know who it is. I'm going to draw my players just with the existence of light in a situation like this, especially if they've already taken a level of exhaustion or they're out of healing and they can't take a short rest. I'm going to draw them into the next plot hook by using light in the distance because it's going to signify civilization and warmth.
Not even that. It could also add mystery because remember, this is a frozen tundra. You got...
Oh, no. Aurora... It signifies it, but it is not necessarily a safe place to go.
You're completely correct. As I was saying, but you're going to have to deal with Northern Lights. This is something I did with Deep Dark Radiance, where the color-shifting light of the Aurora Borealis added so much depth and tone to the traveling out in the wilderness, right? Use it. And you could add some really creepy things through there and hide some creepy things in the shifting colors of lights in the sky. Dave, social encounters. What do you got?
I like I said before, I really like the idea of exploring what's going on in these towns and really getting a good feel for them. You know, they are small. There are 10 of them, but each one is very, very unique. And Adam, you mentioned earlier about really driving home the point of this town is this, this town is this, this town is this. For the first time, like as a DM, even if I was a player, this actually interests me. Mm-hmm. There's so many different social encounters you can make out of that, right? Depending on what backgrounds your guys have. I've had people take the sailor background a bunch of times. There's a lot of harbor work. There's docks. There's lots of fishing. Like, you can really, really, really work into that.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to harp on it again, Netherese. There is rumor that in the Sea of Moving Ice, there is fully awake and active Netherese mages hiding and biding their time. If I can play with that, have a Netherese mage show up. The power behind them is going to cow any party, but the information they bring makes them invaluable for any sort of party trying to find any hidden secrets within the shifting ice.
You know, it's not necessarily a combat encounter, but like an info dump.
Oh, it is and this is a guy who comes in and like, your party knows in their deepest of core of their being, they will lose a fight with this guy, right? Because this is a member of the society that perfected 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th level spells. So don't fuck with him. Get information from him. Maybe he wants help bringing whatever shards of Netheril back into the existence. You could have some cool encounters with this. Adam, what do you got?
Okay, so you mentioned at the very beginning of the episode Bryn Shander, right? And that is the capital city of Icewind Dale, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
It's also, this is kind of a little throwaway line that you said, and I went, oh shit, this is my whole campaign. If an army attacks, everybody in all of 10 towns retreats to Bryn Shander, and they could be housed there.
No.
Well, I would just have the environment get so bad that they're forced into Bryn Shander. The blizzards are so bad, it is so rough, that they're forced there, and there is not enough food. And that will give me every
Time for the lottery.
That'll give me every social encounter that I need for the next 25 sessions, right? Every time that your guys go out and then come back, shit has gotten worse. They should be consistently killing animals and bringing the meat back, right? It's not enough to just, oh, we're going to walk across a tundra. Hey, you know what? That's an elk over there. Let's go kill the elk and drag it back. It's going to set us behind by 6 hours, but this is going to help all of those people that are starving in there. And because there's the lottery for some, and there's the rivalry with the Knucklehead Trout between two towns, you're going to run into this shit quite a bit, right? Who doesn't help?
Yeah.
Who deserves the food? That right there, the scarcity of the resources and the being cut off from the rest of the world, all I need to do is freeze the rivers and lakes, and they're fucked.
And you're coming into this campaign with them already having been mostly frozen.
Yeah.
Right? I also like this for the fact that there are many different, like, secret little, like, devil-worshipping cultists and secret knights and all these little, like, secret societies within the 10 towns as well that are active.
Yeah.
You now have everyone in Bryn Shander, which I think is one of the cities that also does, you know, a lottery and sacrificing life.
Cool.
How much does that get ramped up? What kind of Hunger Games level bullshit can you get into?
Well, no, then they're done, and they've sacrificed it, but everyone's hungry. Mm-hmm. So, not to go all Dahmer party on this, but...
Donner party.
Well, Dahmer party, too.
That's a different kind of Dahmer party. No, it's the same kind of Dahmer party.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. We're almost done here. Let's talk plot hooks. How do you have... Let's go from very first session. What is that plot hook you are using to bring your party to Icewind Dale? Dave, what do you got?
One interest I have that I haven't really ever brought up on the podcast before is I like old wooden ships. The idea of the Discovery going down to Antarctica and like beaching itself in the ice, getting frozen in for years at a time. And these people surviving these extreme temperatures is just fascinating to me because a lot of the time they didn't. So I think I would probably start with, you know, my guys are sailors. They came out of water deep. They went up the Sword Coast and eventually got into some ice, and it turned out badly. You know, they ran into one of these like druid cult or
enclaves,
groves,
yeah.
and they led them to town to try to find something else, and then you start from there.
Cool.
That's how you get them there, is you get them to be these explorers that just fell to tragedy. There was a story recently where there were 2 ships that tried to navigate the Northwest Passage way back when, and they got lost and everybody died. It was tragic and blah, blah, blah. They recently found the mast hanging out of a sheet of ice in a cove. And this very recently, in the last couple of years, they found this. It's been sitting there for 150 years. That kind of thing. Like, I want this to be an Arctic horror.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Right? In fact, the ship that I'm talking about was called the Terror. So that's kind of cool. But, that's where I'm going with this.
Cool.
Right?
For me, this whole idea of this prison colony, this prison that is up here, the Revel's End, which is this super mega max prison where political prisoners and horrible despots and archmages and the ultra powerful bad guys go there to jail. What better way to get your party to go up there than to go get something from one of those guys?
Oh, and they go in there and they've got these tattoos on their bodies that give you the map of the prison?
Not quite. I mentioned earlier that the Wizards of Thay...
Hold on. Session 3, Dave, they go down to Chult, and they're in that one for a little while. But it's only a half session because it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes political intrigue and bullshit after that.
And then at the end, they get fire and ice powers and get on a spaceship and travel through time.
What?
You guys haven't seen Legends of Tomorrow or whatever it is? The DC Arrowverse show?
Man, I have standards.
That have the 2 brothers from Prison Break.
Stop watching CW.
No.
Yes.
Supernatural's great. Why would I stop watching it?
Because it's over.
Not for me, it isn't.
Well, then you're not watching it.
I'm working through it again, damn it. Anyways, I love the idea of, in this campaign, it does mention the fact of the Wizards of Thay, the Red Wizards of Thay, and there are a few of them in Revel's End. And the power of Thayan magic is this idea of, they're one wizard, sure, but if you get like 6 in a room, you're going to start generating some big magical stuff. So they've got them all separated and isolated and like...
Give them some of those fancy crystals.
Yeah. Yeah, right? I don't know, man. Like, playing into the idea of Thay in here as well is just beautiful. So I'd want to pull on that to get my party into Icewind Dale. And then once you're in, you ain't leaving. Adam?
Okay, I've got 4 to 6 party members. Everybody pick a town. You are from 10 towns. Everybody pick a town, I don't care which. And we're going to have a meeting, and you guys are all going to be emissaries, and you guys decide you're going to meet. We're going to Fellowship of the Ring this.
Okay.
But instead of a ring, there's going to be a large mask in the shape of an owl bear with a couple of horns that has been discovered. And everyone needs to know what to do with his mask. Do you know what the mask is?
Majora's.
No.
Oh, owl bear with horns, that's Oriel. It would be Link's to the Frost Maiden.
And that is how I launch Rhyma the Frost Maiden.
Mm-hmm.
Is you start with her mask, and she's coming for it. And it has intense magical properties to it.
Can I just say, they have statted up in the book snowy owl bears. And as a owl bear fanatic like I am, it makes me so happy to see like the polar bear equivalent of owl bears.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah. They're like snowy owls as well, so they're like whites with like the little black streaks, and they're kind of cute, but also immensely deadly. They're not like the hip elephants.
Hollyphants.
Hollyphants.
Boo.
One last question before we wrap this up, guys. Does Icewind Dale interest you at all? Dave?
Yes. I don't know when I would get to it, though.
You're knee-deep in the Mad Mage right now.
Yeah, but after that, I haven't played 5th edition Eberron, and that's high on my list to do. I haven't played 5th edition Theros. That's high on my list to do. I haven't played 5th edition Ravnica. That's high on my... it's lesser on my list.
Just do a Planeswalker campaign, man.
Yes, you absolutely could. And you just, remove Icewind Dale from Forgotten Realms and just make it...
No, fucking leave it as Icewind Dale in the Forgotten Realms. Just go from there to Theros, to Ravnica, to...
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yes, it's somewhere I want to explore. I will certainly get there before I get to Chult.
Yeah, that's fair.
Chult is not the kind of game I want to play. This seems like a good way for my style of DMing and my style of game to kind of dip our toes into that extra couple of levels of mechanics that we don't normally deal with and see if we like it and go on from there.
I'm actually playing in an Icewind Dale campaign right now, and we're using Gestalt rules, which we will have to get into in a future podcast, but it's basically let's make 5e power gamey.
Really? You? Power gaming, Dan? No.
In the appropriate situation, it's perfectly fine. Anyways, I'm having a lot of fun with this campaign, but when I mentioned the fact that there's like frost giants at level 1, buddy, there's frost giants at level 1, and they will make your life difficult. That's one of the reasons why we're doing Gestalt. So be aware of how dangerous it is just to survive in this region when you go into it. But for me, I'm loving every minute of it. I want to do more. I want to play more in here. I want to start getting into the different flavors of the different towns. In my honest opinion, Icewind Dale is one of the best books they've come out with in a while, especially when it comes to campaign books. I like it more than I like Avernus. I like it more than I like Out of the Abyss.
What about Candlekeep, Dan? You loved that.
Yeah. No, I didn't. Adam, does the Icewind Dale interest you at all?
Yeah, Icewind Dale is going to be probably the best adventure path that I've seen since Ghost of Saltmarsh, which was really 7 little ones.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really, like, it's better tied together than the Tales of the Yawning Portal, but not great. I don't know. I think that this could be one of the best out there. I would 100% totally play there. I've done a lot of forest, jungle, river campaigns over the last little bit. I'm done in the woods. I'm done on the water. I want something different. And I'm pretty much left with volcanoes, planeswalking, desert, or tundra. And I absolutely love the tundra. It's something I can wrap my brain around real easily.
I mean, and even if you want just a flavor of it, you could always throw that in like a mountain ranging campaign of sorts, right? Like,
and just steal the mechanics out of it.
Yeah.
But I like Icewind Dale specifically because it doesn't feel like anything else. You could forgive someone for getting Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate mixed up. Nothing feels like Icewind Dale. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I quite like it.
that'll be it for this discussion on Icewind Dale. But there's lots of other pieces of lore in Dungeons & Dragons, so subscribe or follow and check back regularly to see what inspirations and insights we'll have for you in the future. Next week, we're going to take a good long look at one of the most popular 5th edition races, the Tiefling.
If you'd like to support us, we have a donate button on our website, www.itsamimic.com, as well as a store for some awesome merch. We also rely on word of mouth to get news of the podcast out there to the community. So please pass the word to everyone you know that we're available on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as most podcast apps. Thanks again for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
This has been an It's a Mimic production. Inquiries, requests, and questions for our mailbags can be sent to info@itsamimic.com.
I am not going to talk to Dan. You probably have some insights on this, but I mean, Dave is our go-to guy on this.
Could I just say thank you?
Yeah.
For what's my
No,
fucking life?
thank you.
We've been talking about Arctic scenarios all episode here. You do sub-zero hunting and camping and shit. Do you have any insights that a DM might want to add an extra little bit of flavor or even challenge to a scenario or an encounter? I'm thinking exploration particularly, but could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the biggest things when I'm DMing and playing is it has to make sense. So if your guys are not going up there with the proper gear, make them suffer, all right? I have been out camping, hunting, up in the middle of nothing, in knee-deep snow at negative 22 degrees Celsius.
With nothing but a tauntaun to cut open.
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling Guppy now? A tauntaun?
It's an embarrassment to tauntauns. But, I mean, like, it gets to you fast. Like, it really does. You know, people, oh, yeah, once you hit minus 15, it's really just the same afterwards. No, it isn't. It is not.
And there's a difference between cold and wet. Or, sorry, dry and wet cold.
Oh,
Yeah.
big time. And, I mean, if you are out in Arctic, unkept trails, maybe they're moving at half speed. That's difficult terrain. Through and through. Really, really hard.
Is there any...
Levels of exhaustion even, like...
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that is part of the mechanics.
Is there any gear that people, like the average person, may not think about that is absolutely freaking necessary?
I would make sure that any metal gear is...
Stowed it properly?
Yeah.
And solid?
You're not
Metal gear
wearing
is
it.
solid,
Yeah, metal gear is solid. But, you know, you got to put it away. You can't be wearing it because I spent one camp up in Manning Park where it was like minus 30. This was years and years ago. And it was a fun camp. It was a scout camp. And the only boots I had were steel toes.
Oh, fuck.
My God. It was the worst.
So, hold on. Would you have people take 1 point of cold damage when they grab their metal sword or shield?
No, because, I mean, they're going to have gloves and stuff. Like, that's fine. But if you're wearing, like, cold plate armor, you're gonna feel that if you're wearing a metal helmet or metal gauntlets or something like that. That's going to make a big difference, especially like you said in the wet cold. It'll get in there, it'll freeze up and make them not able to move and function, right?
And you got to just peel them right off your nips.
Preferably not.
Icewind Dale is a land of constant, cue surprise, ice and wind.
Fuck. Jesus, it's like they thought this shit through.
Almost, right?
Are there a bunch of Dales too?
I suspect there's a few dudes named Dale in there as well.
Nice.
Which is a joke I wrote down.
Is that the one that you were so excited about?
No.
Okay,
That's later.
there's an exciting joke coming.
That's in the Barbarians episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
You'll hear it in 3 weeks.
Thanks for listening. Bye.